the planet gets overwhelmed because its resources aren't matching, or the distribution of resources just along everybody is being hijacked by a certain part of our society to maximize their own profits. So we're not getting a fair distribution of the natural resources, and there's no decision from the average person into how to do it, so they just destroy. To me, that's a reptilian agenda to turn this planet into a pot, and we're all lobsters boiling in it. And we're heating up with the gases and heating up with the toxins, and we never know what day we're going to wake up when that's the point where the air goes and becomes unbreathable for everybody. Like in China.
Exactly. All I'm trying to say is that. All I'm trying to say is there are gays and lesbians in very high position. Those people are extraordinarily smart. Okay, we are talking about their physiology, their sexual orientation. We are not talking about the pureness, the beauty of the spirit. Okay, there is. If you look at CNN, their top speakers, their top presenters every single day are gays and lesbians. They are extraordinarily smart. Okay, now when I refer to gays and lesbians and genes, now we are talking about the spiritual DNA. We are not talking about a physical DNA which leads to sexuality. This is where you need to understand. Okay, when it comes to the spirit. When it comes to the spirit,
I'm attempting to wrap my head around it. Because there's people that you're saying are genetically oriented, and that's part of the argument. But then there's people, because I've had them on my couch, that they experiment and they go back and forth, and it's not like they settle on one. It's like a twine, and they, in their youth they might be gay, and then when they're old they might be polyamorous for a while. They might be monogamous. So it seems like there's a psychological aspect within the decision.
You need to understand when you dwell with the UFO phenomenon, it's very much psychical. And then sudden enough, we tend to apply the human physiology with it, and then that leads on again to miss the entire pictures. So it's very important to differentiate and understand where I'm coming from here. I have absolutely nothing against gay and lesbian. There are many of my clients and students are gays and lesbian. I love them. They love me, and they understand what I'm trying to say, because it doesn't take them away from the essence of God or the spiritual values or the psychical gift they inherited. We are talking about the physical physiology.
This reptilian energy doesn't want us to multiply, and they're hoping that we'll become extinct because we won't reproduce anymore?
Well, when I say reproduce, on the physiology, if you put two guys together on a remote island, you know what I'm trying to say? You've got to be very objective again, or two lesbians together. It is not natural for them to reproduce. It was set this way. So unless human gets in the game and start to play again with their gene, trying to fix the situation, they are not fixing it, they are making it worse. Because the child physiology will not change. It's all physical. But within the spirit, that beautiful child that come out of that relation, or that body of a gay or lesbian guy, that spirit will be absolutely wonderful. That's untouchable. That's totally untouchable. The essence of God and the creation and consciousness is untouchable and can only grow. It's always light, because you're talking about life. We're not talking about death.
Right.
All right. So we understand.
So let me ask you about the whole procreative process. So, and I know the Anunnaki were wanting to have a child born of making love and kind of like the tantric, bringing the soul in from the higher realms, which was a different process than a child that might result from rape, right? So there was something going into the mix that's written about the ancients, and so, go ahead. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, basically, let me put it this way. Maybe you'll understand. It will give you more information on your own repertoire wisdom. Okay, Janet, listen. You are related to your family, as I said, 150%. You may even look like your mom, your dad, or your children look like you, and so forth. That's the physiology, the physical part of human being. You're 150% connected genetically. Now, on the realm of the spirit, your closest family member will be your biggest stranger. Why? Because your son, your mom, your sister, your dad will never either think, behave, or create or have the same fate than you. And that is the difference. That's what I call the U.C.I, unique celestial identity. Every one of us is born with that U.C.I. And that's what gives you all your sins and your virtues on the normal human being. And for those who have been abductees, gays and lesbians, same story. It's on the psychical, spiritual, untouchable realm of love and light and progress. Make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if, first of all, let's talk about death. Before you come in this world, when the doctor cut the umbilical cord that connects you with the warm uterine life of your mother, you died. Okay? That you cannot be born unless you die. That's the rules. Okay. Now, a cold of the room, a tap on your butt, or the noise, whatever it is, you send you receive, or you send a first connection to the superconscious, to God, to the universe, to that realm of superconsciousness. And there is another cord which is connected to you, coming from the umbilical, coming from your own umbilical cord. And this is why when you're very afraid or you're scared, you feel the intensity boiling right in the center of your body, because that same electrical umbilical cord, when you die, is cut, dissipate, and you don't want this to disconnect you, because you're going to die. Okay, so when if you're lucky, you live 100 years, and then this cord naturally fades away. You start to forget things. Whatever, you get old, like me, nearly 70 years old. You die, then you go into what you call the aquatic records, okay, and you join back God, because you have been made in the image of God. You cannot separate yourself from God. You were born to learn to create. That's why the computer in front of you, the car you drive, city like Paris, Los Angeles, Washington, New York, once upon a time, 1,000 years ago, did not exist. We have created our reality all stepped of the way. But we are so busy watching TV, the news, fighting with our parents, lovers, friends, you forgot to look at life the way I do. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, when you go back to yourself or to God, how can I explain that in an easier way? Let's imagine that you want to go into a bag. You cannot send your entire body into this bag. So you're going to put your hand, because your hand fits. And each one of the fingers, it's like billions and billions of human beings all in the dark. And you can feel you're too big, you're too smart, you're too good as God to go down this dense physical world to learn. And you're not going to go to hell. This is it. This is hell. Because we are not smart enough to learn by reading books. We have to feel. We have to have the pain, to have the emotions. Okay? So once you take your hand out, you have felt, you have learned something, but you're still you. You're still connected to yourself, to God. So when you die, you're going back to home. You're going back to you. You're going back to God, because as the Bible said, you have been made in the image of God. And the worst thing that you can do is to separate yourself from the power of creation or from God, because that's the real reason why you were born, to learn to control your thought, to create, and to never, ever forget that the future is nothing else than the reincarnations of your thought. Make sense?
Wow, makes sense. I want to give TJ a chance to say something, ask a question, or make a comment. Where are you, TJ? You've disappeared. Are you okay? You still with us?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was coughing. I had myself on mute. I'm still a little sick, so I apologize for that. But Dr. Turi understands. He has allergies, too. And right now, with so much pollen blooming, it's... Dr. Turi, can you expound on why these allergies affects... I'm a precog, and I know that I was born and I have many past lives, and I really want to get into helping people with their soul groups and their past lives and finding that, and Janet and I do our best to help people. I know you're very excellent at that, but I have to admit there's a lot I don't understand, but like you said, you're bringing me into your fold, and then with our new Anomalous Club Online with Dr. Turi, we'll build a whole new network of people that really don't understand the type of astrology you use, or maybe the old astrology. But in the meantime, I am having a little trouble breathing, so I'm going to mute me. But thank you, Janet, for including me back in. But just if you could expand, excuse me, I'm going to cough. I'm going to mute.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
we'll keep talking because she's having problems. Yeah,
she definitely has problems. You bring with you the karmic legacy of the trauma you had in the past life. In fact, I was talking to another radio host, and when she gave me a date of birth, I told her, "Do you have any neck problem?" And she goes, "Oh my gosh, how do you know?" Not only she had neck problem, but she had also serious thyroid problem. And I explained to her that during her past life, she was hanged. Okay, and then anytime she said somebody get close to her neck, she freaks out. There is no reason. And she said, "I've been this way since I was born." It's pretty much.
I broke my neck, Dr.
Yeah, well, there you go. Now you confirming my prediction. Let me tell you a little story so maybe you'll understand me better. When I was a child, I had this recurring dream, non-stop. This dream was always the same. I'm laying down on my back. I'm laying down on a rock type of table in a cave. I can look behind me. I see the high mountain with a lot of snow and see eagles flying. So it must be pretty high. I can hear the wind and it's freezing cold. I'm high in the mountain. Around me is my family and my friends. They're all dressed in white robes, pink robe and white, whatever. That's what I can recall. The next thing I know, 3 Chinese soldiers come into that cave. And they take their long sword and they plunged it into my body. And I died. Now, if I am cutting a snake, I make sure that this knife is facing away from me. I have a natural fear of knife. That is due to that recurrent dream being killed. And then later on, as I grew up, I realized, and I read a little bit of his story, that the Chinese invaded Tibet. And they killed all the monks and they killed all the lamas. And that dictates where I was in my very, very last life, back in Tibet, in the mountain, as one of the top spiritual leaders. Do you understand?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
This is how the superconscious speaks to people. People are not clinical hypnotherapists. They haven't been, really educated in understanding the mechanics involving the superconscious, and then translating dreams is not something that they do on a regular basis. Okay.
Yeah, I had a similar thing. I had a recurrent dream where I kept. I was running from. I call it the storming of the Bastille, and I was a male, and I was a sword fencer. Sword fighter, and I was very wiry and petite, but a male. And anyway, I ran into this building which I call the Bastille, and I tried to find pictures of the Bastille, but apparently it's no longer here, so there's some ancient drawings of it. And I fell to my death, and so I had the same thing. I kept waking up, but before I hit the ground, and I had this dream over and over and over and over.
There you go. I mean,
and then I finally met the characters in the play. I met and I met Nemesis. I call it Nemesis, the one that was, chasing me, and then the one I tried to escape from, and I ended up, dying rather than being captured. So there's these things.
See, as a child, as a child, you're so close to your previous lives. The filter is very thin. It's like this lady. She says she heard me on George Norrie, and she wrote me a long email which I share with my people on my newsletter. You can read it. This lady, she says that until the age of 9 years old, every single night she had the same dreams, and she was surrounded by snakes. I explained to her that during her past life, when I look at a chart, of course, she has a strong Scorpio in that chart. She gave me a date of birth, which I did not publicize. But what I'm trying to say is I explained to her that during her past life, either with